Hello and welcome to St. Louis on Stage this week, celebrating the productions, artists, and companies bringing theater to life across St. Louis region. St. Louis on Stage this week seeks to spotlight memorable theater moments, share community news, and help you discover what's happening in St. Louis. My name is Troy Schneider. I appeared on St. Louis stages a few decades ago and have taught theater for the past 25 years. Today, joining me on the show are Robert Ione and
Hello.
Julie George. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
I'm doing great.
And what do you think of the opening? Okay.
That is really impressive. I was like, whoa, my city looks so good.
Just from certain angles,
Right.
certain angles. From the theater angle, it's looking amazing right now. I think there's a lot
It
going
is
on.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have been putting forth that I definitely was going a little for the cable access kind of music when I wrote that part without being too much, but going with that tone. So we're here to talk about Tesseract Theatre Company's Jagged Little Pill, which we all were able to see. I can tell you a little bit about the production. It opened in Cambridge, Massachusetts, May 5th, 2018. It's, as we know, it's a jukebox musical, as they call them. It tries to represent both the story they create and the original music it's derived from. The music is by Alison Morissette, obviously, and Glenn Ballard. Lyrics by Morissette and book by Diablo Cody, and additional music by Michael Farrell and Guy Sigsworth. And it's inspired by the 1995 album, which, for those of us that was alive, it was just groundbreaking and unique. And there's still really nothing exactly like it. It wasn't alternative. It wasn't rock. It was almost like Passion on the Page. Like, it was really and really catchy melodies while telling real stories and real angst. It was, I think it was quite brilliant, honestly. So I want to bring up first, if we can, just talk about the timeliness of this story that they've told. To give a little background, there's a lot going on in this family that is reflected through society. Any thoughts?
I feel like, and I'm sure you do too as a teacher, I hear these stories all the time. I teach college students, and as you get to know them and as they share things about their life, especially, certain songs, as they're working on certain songs that, provoke certain emotions in them, and sometimes they have strong reactions. Maybe the first time they feel like they really sang a song well, and they begin to share things about their lives. And I'm always kind of amazed at how many times I hear things that are the same or similar to all of the issues that come up in Jagged Little Pill. So yeah, I think it's really relevant to the younger generation today.
Yeah. Julie, what do you think?
Oh my gosh. I loved the way that there were so many issues that were relevant to today in the show.
And while hitting on so many emotional issues, they didn't do the usual thing, broken home. Everybody was trying to be part of that family and loved each other. And it was issues that was happening to each of them. I mean, if you step back, it may be a little ridiculous that they all happen at the same time, but that's how we take all stories. You take an event, but then you compress it into the time when they dealt with them. And if you put those on top of each other, it could have all happened to a family, certainly. But I agree, Robert, and Julie, it's poignant again, even because of our political climate, which is something that I thought we had left behind literally a couple decades ago. So I found
I totally see all of those things happening now with how fast society is changing.
Right.
yes,
Right.
or reverting back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, devolving. We are devolving. Okay, so what did were there any initial thoughts as soon as you left the theater? Is there something you thought as you left?
I think for me, I felt like it was a very powerful female energy show, just
Yeah.
because of the issues. But also, it was a show that, whenever there's a show that gives me chills, like multiple times during the show, makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me think about what it's like to be that person.
Mm,
It's a show that I want to see again,
mm.
because you can't absorb it all in one sitting.
Right, because you're absorbed in it pretty much.
Yeah.
Right.
Robert, any
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, I had a very strong reaction, not just as I was leaving the theater, but during the show too. And this is not so much about the show itself; it's about the production, about Tesseract's production. Is that I was so pleased at how consistent every performer was in this cast, and it's a large cast. I'm not just talking about principals; I'm also talking about ensemble people.
Mhm.
Everybody could sing, everybody could act, everybody could move. And maybe to some people listening to this, they think, well, that's what a show is. But I've said this before, when you live in small cities like St. Louis, we have a talent pool of X amount of people, and we have 5 or 6 shows going on at the same time, which mean auditions have been held for all of those shows at relatively the same time. It's pretty much, if you're a director, you're pretty much living in a dream world if you think you're going to get the top people that you want, all of them, for your show. You might get 2 of them because offers have been made from other companies already. So, you know, and I mean, you can see this in New York, or you can see it at places like the Muni too. It's like sometimes, the
Yeah.
Right.
the level is not the same from performer to performer. This, I just thought every performer was on point. Every performer was a great singer, was a great actor. Every performer was there, invested in this. I
Invested,
thought
that's perfect, yeah.
I thought it was just, I thought it was one of the most consistently good performances or shows that I've seen, from the moment it starts, first moment of the orchestra, to the moment that, okay, lights have gone down, we're all going home, you know?
Right, right. Okay,
Yeah.
and don't let me forget the orchestra. That was a perfect thing to bring up.
Oh my
I'm gonna latch on to what you were saying. So the performances were great, but then I wanna add what Brittany Gunn brought as a director.
Hmm.
One of my most important, I don't know, the one what I think is vital is how you direct the focus and where you've brought the audience's eye, and you wanna do it organically. You can't just there's one spotlight. Of course, I'm supposed to look there. They did well, the tech was worked, very well, but the actors, you would have a scene between 2 people that was really passionate and you were really engaged in, and the rest of the ensemble would come in without being obtrusive in any way and blend and bring that up while you're already feeling a really strong emotional, connection, and then they lift it up.
Yes.
Definitely, the word ensemble
Yes.
comes to mind so
Yep.
well. There's the individual talents, and nobody tried to be a showboat, nobody tried to be in front, nobody tried to be loud. They were telling a story earnestly, and that is pure pleasure to see, and even elevated what could be the problems of a jukebox musical,
Hmm.
where
Yeah.
you're sort of latched to this material. But I thought the way every time I looked somewhere, every time I was guided somewhere, and as the song is coming on, I was pulled in with the ensemble and lifted even higher than my emotions were already at. Julie, you look
Hmm.
like you want to say something.
Yes, when you're talking about how everyone came out and just kind of elevated things, there were 2 things that I'd like to add to that. One was the band. Like, even while that was happening, then the band would almost crescendo to that point or whatever was being elevated. But the icing on the cake for me was the interpretive dance.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
That
Which
blew my
Robert
Yes.
has a connection
mind.
to. I
I'm
Yeah.
yes.
almost crying thinking about it because it was just so So good.
It was. It was beautiful, that connection, and done really well and passionately,
You
and
could
the one
feel
thing
the
that
emotion. The
yes,
emotion that yeah.
yes, and the
Yeah.
connection that was so obvious without it wasn't too obvious. It was literally furthering the art silently and through physicality and pain and everything that they went through. But the orchestra, like you want tech to be, was almost invisible because it was so woven into the performance that you were carried on this by the story rather than,
Hmm.
oh, that's a really cool
Yeah.
guitar part.
Yeah.
Robert, I think I cut you off there. What were
No,
you about
no,
to say?
that's what I was just gonna say, as you and I were talking before we went on the air, I was telling Troy that Lillian Cooper was a former student of mine from Webster, and I had coffee with her last week. So it was interesting to talk to Lillian, and I think one of the things, I don't think Lillian will mind me sharing this, one of the things that Lillian said that I think um, meant a lot to her to be able to work this way is that all of her interpretive dancing was actually her own choreography. Like she was encouraged to search for her own style of movement based on the emotion of the character that she was trying to support. So that was Lillian's work. And Lillian's, as you know, as you can see, she's a fine dancer. She was an acting major, but could easily have been a dance major, and maybe had a dance minor. I can't remember. But yeah, that was all Lillian's work. You know.
Now, are either of you aware, was that an element that was in the original production, or was that something they chose to add in?
That I don't know. This is actually, I knew all the music before seeing the show, but this is the first time I've ever actually seen the show
Too.
on stage. So I
Right.
don't know.
Did you know, Julie, was that part of the original?
That was my first time too. So
Right, right,
I
and
don't
mine as
yeah.
well. So anyway, that's a fascinating question. So I would say I would like to highlight every single actor because it wasn't just the family that was brilliant. It was side characters. It was how they were woven together. And again, the direction, like it was an ensemble production
Mm.
that really carried just a fantastic show. And if I can go to the writing, um, I have more a rock and roll background, like I like to rock, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the largest groups will go and do a symphony, and you're like, well, they took a song and they tacked some strings on it, and
Right.
they are literally fighting each other at all times. And that was not the case. As somebody who grew up, I was 25 when this album came out in college, and it was just mind blowing. I mean, we got the album, we played the album, and you could really, that's not the original interpretation. I thought it was brilliantly done. They wove the same melodies and story in there without losing what it felt like when you heard them the first time. And I thought that was
Yeah.
extraordinary and then handled so well by Tesseract.
By Tesseract, yeah. You know, it always, now that I've seen the show, I always have this kind of knee-jerk reaction when it's referred to as a jukebox musical because it doesn't feel like a jukebox
Does
musical
Right.
to
not.
me. It's like the music is woven in a way that it just I I understand it is a jukebox musical, but it doesn't feel like one, and I love that about the show. That it
I
doesn't
would
feel like a jukebox musical.
and I'm curious, is that the way they produced it, or is that how it is? I could see this at a community theater level being less engaging. I don't think
Mhm.
it would fail, but because the music is so engaging,
Right.
but the way they did it, I think they elevated it to the original vision, actually, is probably where they were and beyond, because they brought each of those artists brought something to it, just like the dancer, just like every smaller character in a specific scene that may have been a larger character in another scene.
Right.
And the other thing, the tech aspect, which I only touched on, it was fairly invisible, and I believe Todd Schaefer did the set, which worked incredibly
Mhm.
well. When it would shift and it would move, it didn't look like, oh right, they're going to do that because it would fit together. I specifically thought the the hospital scene. That was brilliant to have out of sight, but right there, that worked remarkably well. I,
I
yeah,
felt like the set pieces flowed in a way that seemed like choreography too. To me, it seemed like the actual movement of pieces, that was another step in the choreography.
mhm,
It just all it flowed seamlessly for me.
yeah, and the ensemble because they did most of the movement. There wasn't
They did most of
crew
the
that
movement.
came out. They would move something and be in character and head off another way, and they would fade off vocally and physically in the same way to move to the next scene. A
Yep.
new scene had started while they're making a change, but you
Uh-huh.
weren't drawn to that change because it
No.
was directed to the focus. All right, Julie, we haven't heard from you in a while. What are your thoughts?
I was just thinking about that. Like, I we didn't talk much about the set and the costumes just because everyone was so wonderful. But the costumes. I mean, come
Thank you for bringing
on,
that up. Yeah.
all those rock T-shirts for like AC/DC, Pink Floyd, the flannel around the
Yes.
waistband. I mean, it was bringing me back to where I was in the '90s when Jagged Little Pill came out.
Right.
I
Right.
was just like, "Oh my gosh, the feel of this." And
Now,
maybe
okay.
that's why it touched me so much
Right.
because
Right.
it was
Right.
bringing me back.
Okay, now here's an interesting thing, and I had to look this up, and I believe we discussed it, Julie. What is the setting of this play? What is the time period?
Yeah.
Because
That's
that's a lot.
hard.
It's very hard, and my students, middle schoolers, are wearing those shirts. Like, you can always
The
go,
one thing that
go
one
ahead, go
thing
ahead.
I noticed the one thing I noticed was that, there were flip phones. Did you see some of them had flip
Right,
phones when we were
right.
so I was like, "This is '90s. It's gotta be." But maybe not.
Maybe it was
I
early 2000s. I feel
Could have
like
been.
90s was more brick phones, as I used to call them. You know,
yeah,
that
Yeah.
that's an
that
interesting
was
question
beepers
because
for me. That was
because
beepers
yeah,
into the 2000s. We didn't have the money for that phone.
yeah. I think believe it or not, I actually got my first phone, which was a flip phone in 2004.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right,
Hmm.
right. Mhm.
I came to the game
Those
late.
were pretty cool too. Well, you gotta admit, I was like, Agent Mulder and Scully, man. Psh, FBI
Razor?
from, The X-Files. I'm sorry, random reference. But, the setting is said to be, today. Now, whenever that's said, was that 2018 because that's when it came out? Or are you supposed, you know what I mean, projected to
Yeah.
a different time? I think what kind of works for me specifically with this is I'm not sure, and I don't think it matters because if those same issues came up 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the story wouldn't change that much. I mean,
Hmm.
some of the names of the medications would change or
Or the
but
Right.
slogans
same
on our
story since
protest.
even the 70s.
Right. I was going to say, I think as long as you are high school age or over, I think if you're in high school right now, you're going to watch this show and it's going to seem contemporary to you. It actually
Yeah.
took me back to the 80s because that's how old I am.
Right.
So when
Mhm.
when I would have been feeling or living some sort of version of these stories, for me it was more about 1985, 1986, mid 80s. Um, and that's where I felt like I was, even though I knew for sure we are not in the 80s. But I personally was in the 80s, and that's where I felt at home in this show. And I think you can feel at home in this show pretty much in any decade that you want it to be based
In
on your own
your
life experience and your age.
right, in your late adolescence, I'd
Hmm.
say, at
Yep.
any time, you just go to that time when you felt those things, which is a tribute to the music,
Right.
um, because I don't think it's well, it just feels like the '90s. It doesn't not it feels like nothing else, although it feels somewhat
Yeah.
contemporary. Um, well, that's the other thing, it does feel contemporary, like, it could be released today because the music is not stilted or doesn't sound like, odd keyboards or whatnot.
Right, but it also means we need to get a move on moving forward again then. You know,
Yes.
because these are not happy stories that we want to be, that
No.
we want every single generation to have to live through, you know.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Brittany put in the director's note, it's a reminder to just be present for other people and present. And I think
Yeah.
this is a great thing to take away from this show. And again, I kind of feel like we should have highlighted each of the actors, but we would have had to go one at a time. They were all exceptional. They all need to feel, if they watch this, that we're talking about them specifically when we're celebrating. Because an ensemble is not any one member at all. And I just
No.
I thought it was a really, really impressive performance.
I
And-
couldn't even pick one performer that stood out more than another. They were all fantastic.
And those voices were
They were all
astounding.
fantastic. Everything was astounding. And, you know, I hope that there'll be a nod their way when the Theater Circle Awards come out, because there are awards for best ensemble in different
that would be
genres of
perfect,
show.
yeah.
And I just feel like this show, for sure, minimum has to be nominated. But
It would be hard to top.
it would be hard to top, I think.
Right, because even in a tremendous show, you can have two great performances, possibly in different scenes, but it's an uneven, or they're not connected, either because of the director or their training or their take on a character. A lot of times you see a show and you really enjoy a show, but you still notice that there's a lack of cohesion in something. And I didn't see it in the show. I was super impressed.
Yeah, me too.
Fantastic.
A
Well, I think that's a good.
must-see.
Go ahead, Julie. What?
It's a must see.
I think it is.
Must-see.
Mhm.
Yes.
I think it really is.
I
Not
think
say that too often,
No,
Yeah,
no.
that it's a must see. Yeah.
And just to see that level of cohesion. I'm gonna just keep using. I need the thesaurus or something, but the ensemble
that's the right
was
word.
just wonderful. Yeah, the ensemble was united, and that does go through the technicians, through the direction, through
Everything.
the stage
Everybody.
management, and everything, and the choreography. Like, it was superb. Well, thank you guys. This was
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah, that
And
was
fun
fun.
to talk about such a great show, and we've got other shows coming up. So hopefully people will come watch us in the future. We are St. Louis on Stage. This is called St. Louis on Stage this week, where we just tell you stuff that's going on this week. And we hope you check our website, and we hope you check our social media, which is everywhere, and join in. Learn about theater. It's the place to go to find anything about St. Louis theater. Thank you so much. Julie, Robert, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And we'll sign off and catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.